Hello, and my name is Natalie Bomstead, and welcome to another edition of Connecting for Wellbeing with Wello, where we talk about all things community, connection, and well-being. Today, I am so excited to introduce you to our special guest, Devon Christianson, who is the Executive Director of the Aging and Disabilities Resource Center in Brown County, also known as the ADRC. So welcome, Devon, and thank you for being with us here today.
Oh boy, thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, one of the things that we always start out with is really understanding that part of well-being is asking each other how we're doing. So Devon, how are you doing today?
Well, I actually learned that even though I'm kind of an outgoing person, my introvert traits have served me well. So I'm actually doing pretty darn good. And when I check with other people, how are you doing? I do learn that those folks who are really extroverts, this has been really tough. And for the rest of us who are still working and kind of crazy, having that downtime feels kind of good. So I'm actually well, and I get to walk my dog and serve people, which is really where my passion is.
Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that. And yeah, certainly there's the extrovert introvert piece that really is coming into play a lot during this time. I guess to start off, Devon, would really like for you to share with all of us a little bit about the ADRC. So who you are and who you serve, and then also kind of including kind of some of the services that you're still providing during this really unique time during coronavirus.
hmm So, this has been such an interesting time. I was just emailing my board chair and saying, I didn't have a class in pandemic management in graduate school. So this is like totally new. But what the things that do serve us well is we've spent the last year really refocusing our vision and mission statements, not knowing that this was right around the corner. And so this has just totally highlighted those things that are so critical to us, and why we do what we do and why we keep working is super, super important. So our new vision statement is that all people are valued, celebrated, and connected to a life of possibilities. That can happen today as much as it could have happened 4 or 5 months ago. Those primary things that we do in order to live up to that vision continue. And so our information and assistance staff and our benefit advocates, we still are available to take calls every single day because it's needed now more than ever. So people can call, go on our website. We have really populated our website with all of our materials. We will warm transfer and call with people to get them access to services. Right now, when people are in their homes, they're rethinking, I need home care. Right? My spouse needs a bath. I have to get food. I am potentially going to lose my housing. I can't pay my rent. All of those things that create incredible stress. We already have the stress of the pandemic, and now that's only exaggerated those things that people have already been struggling with. They've only gotten worse. So we absolutely are just a phone call away, and those folks, all of my staff, even though we're remoting out, are able to take those calls and do things online with people. You don't have to have internet access or any of those kind of stuff. You just call our main number and we are available. People have tremendous angst over unemployment, getting their disability applications, that those things in life are continuing to be needs. And we want to make sure people have access to a lot of the expanded benefits that are now available. For example, with food share and the nutrition programs, changing some of the criteria during this pandemic. This is stuff that people might not normally know. And so we want to, again, get people connected to resources and to benefits. The other thing that is absolutely our primary priority, and we have been deemed as an essential service, is that we're all about getting people nutrition. So people need food, and they need to, in order to be well. And we have many people who are homebound to begin with, and now with the pandemic also equally isolated, that we deliver about 500 meals a day with volunteers and with staff. So we pack it and we do routes and we get out to people. We're checking on people. We're doing it all very safely. So there's masks and gloves, and we are doing non-contact drops offs for those people who can manage that. And for people who absolutely need us to be there, we will do that as well. So we've trained everybody, and we're screening all of our volunteers to make sure that they're safe, because we don't want to bring anything to this vulnerable population. So we've increased that. Absolutely. We've also been planning if for some reason we would be unable to do the hot meal program that we deliver, we have shelf stable food that we are at the ready should things deteriorate further, that we'd be able to get shelf stable food to people who don't have microwaves or the ability to heat food. We're going to get that food to them. So that's super important to us as well.
Very good. So who would be the person that should contact you? So are there criteria or is it anyone? Can you describe a little bit about who should get in contact with you and also maybe how they can do that?
Absolutely. So we serve anybody who's 17 years and 6 months and older. So that's pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Pretty close, unless you're a minor child. So we serve adults or students that are transitioning from school who have disabilities. So anybody who, or their caregivers. So I will always say, like when I do presentations and things, if I see people in a room, there's almost no one in that room that doesn't have a reason to connect with us or can connect with us, because we all have people in our families, not only who might have disabilities, but also our grandparents, our spouses, our family members, and many of us are caregivers. And that's another really important service that we offer, support to caregivers. And right now, that's an even more stressful circumstance for people who are caring for loved ones who have disabilities or are older. And it's a really scary time for them because these are high risk individuals. And if they were to become sick, their caregiver role, they, they may not be able to go to the hospital and see them. So we want to talk things through with people, as their mental health is a tremendous part of their own well-being, and helping them do this well.
Absolutely. So would they go to your website, Devin, to kind of get some of that information on how to connect with you?
So yeah, people can connect in a number of different ways. So we have a general mailbox that's available right on our website. People can just peruse our website and get a lot of information from there. In our resource library, we have all kinds of information. Or they can just call our main, 448-4300 main desk, and we still have somebody at the ready who will route it to the right people. So
Okay.
there's no wrong door. Just come on in and we'll figure out how to connect back with people.
Wonderful. Great. And we'll make sure that those resources on how to connect to the ADRC are available below here on this post as well, so that people can have those resources and can connect. So you've touched on a couple of different issues that are really facing the population that you're serving right now. You've touched on a little bit some of the food insecurity piece. What are some of those top issues? Food insecurity, you've kind of touched on mental health and caregivers. Can you expand on some of those things that you're seeing?
Absolutely. And I guess the fourth thing I would add is about health equity. And that I think what we've really seen is that our systems were already stressed, and then people who had difficulty accessing healthcare, this has only become ever more evident to all of us about our need to reach out to special populations and make sure that people have access to care and all those things that keep them well. And so, yes, and isolation and loneliness is the other that's really important to us. And as you might imagine, this crisis and the safer at home has only exacerbated that issue for people, that they are staying home, becoming more and more isolated. And as a result, their mental health strains are there, and they often need other people to stay well, to provide the care themselves. So definitely. And food insecurity, like you mentioned, that is a huge issue. There are now services that have come together about doing some home delivery around food that might be shelf stable foods, et cetera, in addition to what we're doing. So those things are really, really important. I was, just reflecting on some of the caregiver issues as well. We do have caregiver programs where we can help provide some financial assistance to caregivers so that they can continue their role, because 80% of all care is actually done by informal caregivers. We often think about that paid home health aid, et cetera, and those are really important services going in, but that informal caregiver who now maybe has lost a job, has financial stress, and continues to have that role of needing to grocery shop or go in and give bathing services and stuff to their families, it's exposing the caregiver to more dangerous situations. They're stressful situations around their own mental health increase, and the care and the worry they have about the people that they are caring for. If
Mhm.
you can imagine, one of the areas we do lots of work in is Alzheimer's disease and dementia. And so imagine somebody who is wandering, and how dangerous it has now become. If that person is wandering, they don't understand the need to be wearing a mask. Caregivers are nervous about ever leaving that person alone, or when they are with them, that person might be repeating over and over and over. And so they're kind of brought to that edge of their patience as a caregiver and trying to hold all those pieces together. So we are very concerned about those folks who are providing that care and helping them to continue to do that. Caregivers also become very isolated. It's a very lonely and isolating set of strategies that people have to use. They often don't have other people to talk to because they're so busy
Mhm.
that they don't care for themselves. So when we talk about well-being, it is really not only that older person or person with disability who needs to be well, but the people who provide that care to them. We are, of course, also worried about paid caregivers. They're putting themselves at risk. You've seen all over the news right now, there's all of this huge issue around the PPE, about the folks who are maybe not paid as well. When we talk about health equity, the nurses' aides and the supportive care workers who every day are facing getting out there to keep people safe, and they're doing it at their own risk. And they need the kind of support, training, and medical equipment to keep themselves safe so they don't bring that home to their families. Those aren't just news stories nationally, those are real, and they're here in Brown County, and
Yep.
we just really have to be on top of it.
Mhm. Absolutely. And I think one of the things that you mentioned that really hits home is the isolation piece and loneliness piece, especially for individuals within our community that may be older or may just not have access to the technology that you and I are using right
Right
now.
now.
Right? Exactly.
Right.
So
Right.
I think in some respects, the technology that we have now allows us this really great privilege and opportunity to stay connected, and for you and I to do some working from home and some of those pieces to connect with our friends and loved ones. But I think to remember that not everyone has that same opportunity or that same comfort level with technology right now. And so, even picking up the phone, right, and calling people and just checking on different people within your lives, or writing a letter or sending a card. I've seen in our neighborhood, people have gone around and just written really nice messages with chalk
Mm.
in people's
Yeah.
driveways to just
Right.
kind of remind each other that we're here. And I think sometimes it may seem like a small act, but those reach outs really do help. I think with making people feel like, okay, I'm still part of this community. Someone cares about me. Someone remembers me like right now. So I think
Absolutely.
if all of us can reach out to one person, really to help in kind of perpetuating that piece of community.
I would, absolutely, Natalie. I would say, so we always think about these great, big, huge, grand projects that are going to solve these very complex problems. And then when you distill them down, it's about human connection.
Hmm.
And for generations, we have been finding a way to connect with each other without Zoom. And so if that still is possible, my children don't believe me, but it is true that absolutely we can connect. And that's really, if you think about those things that make you feel connected to others, then you can give that back to somebody else. I also have seen, just walking my dog, notes that people in neighborhoods have put, like, just stuck on the side of their mailbox that would just say, if you need, call me. So that people are just even saying, listen, people don't like to take that first step because they're afraid, oh, I look weird, or I don't want, but truly the good old telephone or a note just saying, listen, I'm in your neighborhood, we're going to solve this together and we're going to get through it. Often people with tremendous anxiety, if they're isolated, those anxieties just grow because they aren't able to talk that through. So it just becomes this perpetual story of fear. And then they're also often an older generation where they get their information is from television. And so if you and I both know, if you're watching too much television and all of the endless 24/7 streams of terrible news and this growing perpetual train that's heading to us, that we're all going to get very ill. And this is, and very few stories of triumph, resilience, and hope, because the news is really about how we have to stay safe because we're all in danger. So now imagine you're a person maybe who has some compromised mental health issues, and that the message you're hearing over and over is that you're not safe. You are not safe. You're not safe. There's nothing you can do. It's coming. That feeling of powerlessness and being out of control just absolutely can consume somebody. Their isolation and loneliness only grows. They are not going to step out or even take a walk because they're so afraid. Where before they might have walked their dog, now they're just not going to go out at all. And you and I both know, when you get that fresh air, you get some sunshine, and then you can even wave to your neighbor who might be 6 feet apart across the street. That wave saying, hey, we're in this together, and a positive message of we can do this and we're going to come out on the other side, can make all the difference in the world. And definitely write a note to your grandchildren, to your families, this is a great time if you're at home to get some writer's cramp and get out there and write the notes that you haven't done in years, and dust some things off, and send some notes of encouragement and care. I think it's going to go a really long way.
Absolutely. I over the weekend, so I am expecting right now, and so I've been doing some porch pickups of some baby items, and it was really sweet. I had one of the individuals put a nice little post-it note on and just said, I understand that this is probably a really stressful time to be expecting. Know that I'm thinking about you, and you're really strong. And I don't know this person personally, but it made me smile, and it made me feel like, okay, right? Like it kind of fills up your cup again. All right,
Absolutely.
we got this, right? We're in this
Yes.
together. And so
Right.
those things, as you were saying, human connection is this biological thing that we all
Absolutely.
desire. And so ways that we can do that truly will help us all get through this together.
Exactly. I'd also say that if you can start your morning, I talk about here with our managers and with everybody that we talk about, is if you can just start your day with some gratitude, that there's a tremendous amount of power in starting your day thinking about what is good and what you're grateful for, not ignoring, not pretending, not living in a Pollyanna world, but you're facing it with gratitude, because there still are so many great positive things that are possible for every person. And this will end, and you want to come out on the other side with that resilience to say that we can do it. And I'm so grateful for the things that did go well. I will say we will change how we think about the services that we deliver. We will think differently about what people need and how they will get it. I think sometimes these incredible moments of change are an accelerator, or they are things that force us to move really quickly to other things that would have been really tough to do in a slow, methodical way, and change can be very hard. Now it's like, okay, there's a million opportunities here because we've all had to live this very differently. Let's capitalize on this great opportunity to change how we're thinking about stuff.
Absolutely. So Devon, do you have any kind of tips to share, or anything that you want to talk about on how you personally have been taking care of your health and well-being during this time?
Well, I would say that part of everybody has their own things that really fill their cup, that make them well. And I always think about the dimensions of wellness, and am I as balanced as I possibly can. And I will say, people say, oh, you work so much, there's so much to do. And I will say that work is actually a big slice of the pie of my mental wellness, and it fills my cup in terms of being a servant and assuring that people have what they need, and that we are delivering the best quality services to them. Because I would say that actually is part of my wellness, that I can serve. It would be terrible for me to be at home with everything shut down, seeing all of the need in the community, and not actually being able to roll up my sleeve and say, how can we do something? So that part of that work is keeping me well. The other is having lovely family and pets, and my lovely Portuguese water dog. He makes me get out and walk every morning, and and is always, he knows nothing about the pandemic, and actually he thinks this is quite lovely that many people are around, because now my children had to come home from college and all of that kind of stuff, and boy, there's all these people and this is all about me. This is lovely. So he's going to be very spoiled, but it's a great, just to see that positive and that joy that he has all the time, gives me joy. So just being careful too, yeah, that I am keeping my mental health in check and not absorbing all of the stress and having it eat away, but feel like I'm in control of it. That is a huge part of it. Taking time, gratitude every morning, meditation, little yoga, all those things that help us stay well and balanced.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. So just in closing, who or what is inspiring you today? We always like to close with a positive note.
So I have lots of people who inspire me, because there's so many fabulous people in this world who have done many greater things than I have ever done. But when I show up right now, the people who inspire me are our 75-year-old volunteers. Here are people who are in this population themselves who could be putting themselves at risk, and they are calling saying, I have to deliver this food. I have to come and do it. And for me, because I need to give back, and I realize that this might put me at some risk, but I'm willing to take that risk. And they are they're truly inspiring, because they don't have to do this,
Mhm.
but they absolutely are driven to. And so what we thought we were going to, when this all started, we thought we're going to be in big trouble. We're not going to have the people to deliver. We're going to have to remobilize all kinds of things. And actually we found the opposite. It's brought out the best in so many people, that they step forward, they want to give, they want to help. And it's really a renewed sense of what an incredible community this is to live in, and the volunteer and donations of people that want to make a difference. It's a great community.
Absolutely. Well, that is a really inspiring story and a good way to kind of end. We are all a part of this community, and so it's about each of us helping one another, and knowing that we all have different needs, right, during this time. But I think if we can continue to see each other as one community and coming together and helping support one another, we're going to get through this together. And
We
I like
will.
what you said earlier, this may be an opportunity for us, right?
Hmm.
To really emerge, on the other side, even stronger and even better.
Agreed.
We never maybe even would have thought possible. So
That's right. And thank you to Wello for the wonderful attention you're calling, looking for the positive stories as well, and showcasing the great stuff that people are doing. Bravo to you and your team.
thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Devon, again, for joining us here today. We really appreciate all that you are doing and your entire team is doing at the ADRC. Again, for all of you watching, we will put some of those resources on how you can get connected in the comment section here below, and we hope that you will get connected, because there are a lot of great ways in which the ADRC can provide some supports to you and your families and loved ones at this time. And also, we want to just remind you all of kind of what I'm going to say is a little challenge that we posed to you today, which is to reach out to someone, whether that be via a technology like we're using right now, or a phone call, or a written message. Reach out to someone and know that that will really make their day. And I think collectively we can start to bring some smiles to people throughout our community. And thank you again for everyone for joining us here today. If you have suggestions on topics or different special guests that you would like to see, feel free to drop us a note at hello@wello.org. And know that all of the materials will be posted again on our social media platforms as well as on our website. So thank you again to Devon, and thank you all for joining us. And until next time, stay well, everyone.